All right, welcome back, guys. We just finished up with 210 poetry, and we are now moving on to 211. If you don't remember how to get here, it's at the very top of your screen. You go from when you log into OLS, you go to classes, from class, you go to content, and it will take you here. You have your table of contents to the left. Scroll down, and we are on 211, 17 syllables. All right, and excuse me. And we're going to click on the lesson introduction. You always need to do that. "17 syllables. Now that you have spent some time learning about haiku poetry, turn your attention to the 6 haiku in this lesson. Focus on the language of the poems and how they incorporate the rules of haiku." And we have our student guide that we need to download. It opens up in a new window. It has our lesson objectives. It has our materials. We have a graphic organizer, so I'm going to go ahead and download that. Downloads right here. We're going to open it. All right, we've got to click on we got to get rid of this yellow band. So we're going to click enable editing so we can type right on it. Go ahead and put your name. I am Mrs. Jordan. All right. And then just, it's that same form that we go over that you're supposed to fill out as you read text, and in this case, poetry. Again, since this is poetry, not all of those boxes necessarily need to be filled out, but fill out what you can, what will apply. All right, we have some key vocabulary terms. Speaker, the imaginary person who speaks the words of a poem, not the poet. Theme, the main message that an author wants to communicate to a reader. All right, now going back to our lesson, click on that tab, and we are ready to move on to Module 1. 17 syllables. Haiku review. Before reading the haiku poetry in today's lesson, review what you learned about haiku by answering the following questions. A question of tense. Complete the following sentence. Haiku poetry is most frequently written in A, past tense, B, future tense, C, the present tense, or D, order of importance. All right, I know I'm gonna pick the wrong one. Okay, incorrect. Haiku poetry does not generally discuss what will happen. Let's try again. Let's try the present tense this time. Got it correct. Okay, so now what I want to do is I want to bring up that review document I've been working in that I titled ELA 2.12 Review Doc. I've got stuff from lesson 9, and of course you'll have more because I only demonstrate a certain amount. And I have lesson 10. Now we're going to back out here, and I'm going to do 1.11 so that I know I'm ready to start with that one. So now that I know that answer, I'm going to, it's not easily copying. Let me do this. Okay. Right click, copy. And then I'm going to go here and right click. And then I want to choose the clipboard so that it looks just like, that's not the one. It's not letting me do it. Okay. Hold on. Nope, that's not the one. We don't want it like that one. Like that one, that middle one. Oh, nope. Paste. There we go. That's how we want it. And then we want to do back out, and we want to do A for the answer. So we come back and highlight, copy, go back, right click, and paste like that. There we go. And then I'm ready for number 2. All right, slide number 2. Complete the following sentence in order to help readers know the time of year in which a haiku takes place. Poets often, A, give clues by using season words, B, name seasons explicitly, C, title their haiku with the names of seasons. Or D, reference the ancient mythological Roman god for each season. Choose your answer. Check it. Put it in your review document. All right, and again with this, you would copy, paste, answer, copy, paste, using this middle one. And then we do have an explanation on this one, so I'm going to put EX for explanation. And I'm going to highlight that, copy it, right click, and paste, using that middle one. And then I'm ready for number 3. All right, slide number 3. Complete the following sentence. Haiku poems are most effective when they attempt to A, rhyme extensively, B, capture a single thought or the emotion of a moment, C, discuss a historical event, or D, praise one of the writer's friends or family. I'm going to go with this one. Check it. It shortens right again. So again, this is going to have to be like that. Highlight, copy, paste, hit enter, and then we're going to back out and put answer. And we're going to go to our answer, highlight, copy, right click, paste using that middle one. And we do have an example, so I'll also put that in there. Copy, right click, paste. All right, and then I'm going to backspace, and I'm ready for number 4. And we're ready for module 2. Read 6 haiku. Let's check out a group of 6 haiku. As you read, remember the rules for haiku and analyze each to see how it fits in the pattern. Also use visualization to help you imagine the images the author is trying to convey. Remember, haiku are supposed to paint a picture for you to visualize with your mind's eye. Read 6 haiku. Use the reading graphic organizer to apply the reading strategies. So what it's meaning by that is this graphic organizer that we downloaded earlier. You can have a chance to download it again now if you need to. And then click on this link to take you to the text. Now, again, it took you to the front page. You've got to remember that we're in Unit 2, Poetry and Persuasion. And then we're going to need to arrow over till we get to, there's the cricket haiku that we read yesterday and the do you write haiku. And we need to keep flipping until we see the 6 haiku, which is on page 400. Let me write that down. Page 400 in your textbook. 6 haiku adapted from selected works by John Gold Fletcher and Amy Loyal. Storm birds of autumn with draggled wings, sleet beaten, light and weariness. The wind shakes the mists, making them quiver with faint drum tones of thunder. Rain fell so softly. In the evening, I almost thought trees were talking. The green and violet peacocks with bright golden tails parade through the dusk. Foolish so to grieve. Autumn has its colored leaves, but before they turn, a cloud of lilies, or else you walk before me. Who could see clearly? From 24 Haiku on a Modern Theme by Amy Lowell. Oh, and then it has the pasture. So looking back at these, you can take it, each one of these stanzas is a haiku. Storm, birds of autumn, 5 syllables. With draggled wings, sleet beaten, 7. Light in weariness, 5. For a total of 17 syllables. It is about something in nature. It's about one thing. In this case, we have the draggled wings. And it says the birds of autumn. So it automatically tells us there's our season word, but also because it says sleet beaten. A lot of times in the autumn and spring, you have storms that have, usually in the autumn, you have storms with sleet. Okay. In most places I know in Texas, we seem to always get sleet instead of snow. But you can tell it's towards the end of fall going into winter. And then the wind shakes the mists, making them quiver with faint drum tones of thunder. So we have thunderstorms again in the fall. A lot of times you have thunderstorms. And it's talking about the wind is shaking, so it's very windy. And it makes the mist quiver. Then the third stanza is about rain falling softly. And it's as though the trees are talking. Look at also for your figurative language there. There's some figurative language right there that's pretty cool. The green and violet, so it's using descriptive words. Peacocks with bright golden tails parade through the dusk. I'm not really familiar with peacocks in the spring, but like where this person lives, there are peacocks. I mean, in the fall, not the spring. Foolish to grieve, autumn has its colored leaves before they turn. So again, it's about sadness that spring and summer are going away and the leaves are about to change color and drop off of trees. Cloud of lilies, or else walk before me, who could see clearly. Again, the lilies sometimes bloom in the fall. They're mainly known for the spring, but there are some forms of the lilies that bloom in the fall. All right, let's go back to our main lesson and see what they want us to do with this. Module 3. Listening to haiku. Poetry is meant to be read, but it can be even more effective when we hear it read aloud. Let's listen to the 6 haiku poems read aloud. As you're listening, consider the following questions. What is the mood of each haiku? Who is the speaker in each haiku? How does the author use language to convey certain images and feelings to the audience? What is the theme of each haiku? Okay, I already read it, so I'm not going to read them again, but you can back up the video and re-listen to me read it to you and fill out the graphic organizer. I kind of pointed out some of these as we went along, so fill this out because, again, you can save this and use it and bring it up when you take your 212 quiz. All right, slide 2. Storm birds of autumn with draggled wings sleet beaten, light in weariness. And I'm not going to play this for you because when you're doing this, you can stop the video and play that in there. Haiku 2, the wind shakes the mists, making them quiver with faint drum tones of thunder. Haiku 3, rain fell so softly in the evening, I almost thought trees were talking. Haiku 4, the green and violet peacocks with bright golden tails parade through the dusk. Slide 3. And again, she's going to read these to you just like I'm doing here. Foolish so to grieve. Autumn has its colored leaves, but before they turn. Haiku 6. A cloud of lilies, or else you walk before me, who could see clearly. Practice understanding 6 haiku. Let's examine more closely the 6 haiku you just heard. Which type of figurative language is used in this haiku? The green and violet peacocks with bright golden tails parade through the dusk. A, imagery, B, simile, D, personification. What do you think? Which one is being used here? Pick your answer. Check your answer. Copy and paste your answer into your Word document. And maybe even the explanation if it has one. You can pause the video and come back when you're ready to move on. All right, question 2. Which word best describes the mood of this haiku? Foolish so to grieve, autumn has its colored leaves, but before they turn. A, cheerful, B, sad, or C, angry. Pick your answer. Check your answer. Once you know the correct answer, copy and paste the question and correct answer and explanation into your review document. All right, question 3. Which word best describes the mood of this haiku? Rain fell so softly in the evening, I almost thought trees were talking. A, thoughtful, B, humorous, C, excited. Pick your answer. Check your answer. Once you know the correct answer, copy and paste into your review document. Now that you have all 3 answered and you know the correct answers and you have them copied and pasted into your review document, you're ready to move on to slide 5. Analyzing haiku. When you read or listen to a haiku, it is important to think about some of the elements that help create the feelings and images in the poem. Rain fell so softly. In the evening, I almost thought trees were talking. As you read a haiku, ask yourself these questions. Who is the speaker? What is the mood of the poem? What kind of images are brought to mind as you listen to and read the haiku? What kind of figurative language does the poet use? What is the theme of a haiku? And the speaker is a detached observer. He is watching and listening to the falling rain and recording his thoughts. Mood. The mood is the haiku is reflective. He is thinking about how softly the rain falls and the effect is on him. What kind of images are brought to mind? In this haiku, the listener can hear the gently falling rain and reflects on the image of trees talking to each other. Figurative language. The poet relies heavily on imagery, appealing to the senses of the reader to create his ideas. And theme. The theme of poetry is often open to interpretation by the reader or listener. In this haiku, the poet seems to be commenting on the connection between man and nature, even going so far as to note his comparison between the sound of the rain and his imagined idea of trees talking. Slide 6. Analyzing speaker. When we analyze the speaker, and that's the person who speaks the words of a poem, not the poet, in a haiku, we aren't really looking at first person or third person. Instead, we are noting whether or how the speaker is involved in the events in the haiku. Search for keywords like I or me. If these words are not present, the speaker is more of a detached observer than an involved observer. In this haiku, the reader isn't saying, as I sit, or the moon smiles at me, so we can consider the speaker a detached observer. Note that this doesn't mean that the speaker is not present in the feelings or images. It just means that he or she is observing the images rather than creating them. Analyzing images. Haikus are meant to create images for the reader or listener. As we listen to a haiku, we should be visualizing the pictures the poet is trying to create. If you're an artist, hey, make a picture of the haiku. That might help you understand it better. Rain fell so softly in the evening, I almost thought trees were talking. In this haiku, there are some key words that help us picture the scene describing softly, evening, trees, talking. When you come across or hear these words, you can immediately picture the setting in your mind's eye. Syllables, analyzing mood. Remember that the mood of a poem or story is the feeling that is created in the reader. Remember, tone comes from the author or poet, mood comes from the reader. As we read or listen to a haiku, we should think about how the poem makes us feel. Rain fell softly in an evening. I almost thought trees were talking. How does this make you feel? Excited, calm, happy, sad? In this haiku, the mood is reflected in the language and ideas. The poet starts with the word softly, which triggers feelings of quiet and calm in the listener. He then discusses how this softly falling rain makes him feel. He connects the actual sound of rain to the imaginary sound of trees talking. The best description of mood in this haiku might be reflective. The poet is creating images both in his own mind and in the minds of his readers. So reflective is more like like you're daydreaming. You just kind of sitting there thinking and reflect and thinking back on the day and relaxing. Analyzing theme. Finding the theme of a haiku may require deep thinking. Remember, the poet is trying to convey a whole idea in only 17 syllables. Let's review the haiku we've been discussing. Rain fell so softly in the evening, I almost thought trees were talking. On the surface, this is a poem about observing an event in nature. The sound of gently falling rain, however, is there something bigger here? What do you think? The poet's comparison of the reality of gently falling rain and the imagined circumstance of trees talking to one another seems to indicate a bigger theme. Instead of commenting on only nature, he is also commenting on the relationships between man and nature and how events in nature affect the thoughts of a man. That is the beauty of haiku, all of the layers that lie underneath it, a tiny poem. Slide 10. Understanding a haiku. How much do you understand about analyzing a haiku? Answer the questions below and choose the highlighted text to check your understanding. Number 1, what are you paying attention to when you analyze the speaker in a haiku? What is your thought? Maybe write it down. Let's check and see if you're right. When you are analyzing the speaker in a haiku, find out whether or not the speaker is including him or herself in the poem. Are they detached or attached? Check for words like I or me. If you don't see them, then it's a detached. Be sure that you copy and paste this question 1 and its answer into your review document. Number 2, how do you analyze the mood of a haiku? What do you think? Let's see if you're right. When you analyze the mood of a haiku, think about how the poem makes you feel. Again, check for powerful language that helps create a feeling. And again, you need to copy and paste the number 2 in your review document. What is meant by imagery in a haiku? Do you remember? Imagery in a haiku refers to the picture the poet is creating in the mind of the reader. Be sure and copy and paste that into the question and answer into your review document. What should you pay attention to when you analyze the theme of a haiku? Analyzing theme in a haiku is tricky. We have examined below the surface. Think about how the poet's observations could be applied to man and nature on a larger scale. Be sure and copy and paste that question answer into your review document. Once you have all 4 questions and answers copied, you're ready to move on to Module 4. Oh, and that's it. There is no Module 4. So thank you for joining me for this lesson, and I will see you in Lesson 212. Please let me know if you're having any trouble understanding and analyzing haikus. Come to open office, or you can email me at ljordan@tvahallsville.org, or call me at 254-307-0033. If your learning coach has not opted you into text messages and calls, be looking in your email for a response from me, or I'll be reaching out to your learning coach. Thank y'all, and I will see you next time for 212. Bye.